Hello again, and welcome to another one of Davy's Springtime Saunters, where I take you through the walking routes of Edinburgh. Today my travels have brought me to the Grange cemetery on the south side of Edinburgh. And my story today is to tell you about two gentlemen who are buried here, who probably never knew each other, but do have a tenuous connection to each other. And the first of those gentlemen is a man by the name of Sir George McCrae, and he is buried on the eastern side of this cemetery. He was born in 1860, and following a rather uneventful political career, he joined the volunteer armed services towards the end of the 19th century, and he rose from private to the rank of colonel. And at the outset of the First World War in 1914, he gained notoriety for managing to persuade a number of professional football players to join up to fight in the war. And this was in a view to trying to encourage other young men to do likewise. And among those players that he recruited were the entire first team of Heart of Midlothian Football Club, along with some of their reserve players. Other clubs contributed players, and they were clubs such as Falkirk, Dunfermline, East Fife, Hibernian, and the now defunct St Bernards. And at a rally at the Usher Hall in Edinburgh towards the end of November, Sir George McCrae managed to recruit up to 1,400 other young men to join to fight in the Great War. And from that moment on, they were known as McCrae's Battalion. And a lot of those men went off to fight in battles such as the Somme and other great battles of the First World War. And unfortunately, not a lot of them returned. And in fact, 7 of that Heart of Midlothian first team were killed in action, and others returned either wounded or shell-shocked. And every Remembrance Sunday at the Haymarket Memorial Clock, which was erected in the honour of those fallen football players and other soldiers, a service is held and is organised by Heart of Midlothian Football Club and is attended by other clubs with representatives from their boards and also fans and supporters of those clubs. Sir George McCrae survived the war, but died in December 1928, and he was buried here in the Grange cemetery with full military honours, alongside his wife, who had passed away exactly 15 years to the day before. And a very sad case there. The other gentleman I wish to tell you about is buried on the west side of this cemetery, and he goes by the name of Canon Edward Joseph Hannon. And his story began some 40 years or so before that of Sir George McCrae. And as a young parish priest in Ballingarry in the Republic of Ireland, he came over to Edinburgh on a cultural and clerical holiday, and he was persuaded to stay in the city by the then Bishop of Edinburgh. And he was given a role as a curate and later as the parish priest of St Patrick's Church in the Cowgate. And the reason for this was that the Cowgate at that time had a very large Irish immigrant population, mainly families that had fled their own famine-torn land some years before. And one of his successes at St Patrick's Church was, in order to sort of give these young men of this community a sense of purpose, he formed what was known as the Catholic Young Men's Society, and the St Patrick's branch of that was born around about 1870. And one of the members of that Society, a Mr. Michael Wellahan, approached Father Hannon in 1875 and asked if it would be possible to start up a football team. And Father Hannon agreed, as he thought this was a great idea of keeping the men occupied and giving them a sense of sport. And Michael Wellahan and Father Hannon formed this football team, and it went through a few names, but by the end of 1875 it became known as Hibernian Football Club. And they played their first game on Christmas Day, just down the road from here at the Meadows, against Heart of Midlothian, and unfortunately they lost 1-0. And as they say, history was made there and then, and it's great to see that two great men who have left a fantastic legacy in the history of both these great Edinburgh football clubs now lie here in the Grange cemetery, the mere length of a football pitch apart, and their history will go on for evermore. It just so happens today is St Patrick's Day, so I think that's probably quite fitting for me to end on that. I'm going to head off on my travel shortly in this beautiful sunny day, and I'm going to head down through the Meadows and onto the Edinburgh International Conference Centre, where I'm going to receive my first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. I hope all of you will do likewise. Thank you very much for your time, and I'll catch you all again later. Bye for now.